Welcome to another episode of the MH Energy Exchange. I'm here with Karl Johnson today. He's the manager of petroleum at Ohio Cat. Karl, we've been talking a little bit about shale and how exciting the shale industry is for this region and frankly for the whole country. I want to focus a little bit on midstream versus downstream activity and maybe take a minute and just talk about Ohio Cat, and is the opportunity more in midstream and pipelines, or are you looking further downstream and petrochemical industry and other opportunities?
Certainly. Right now what we've seen in Ohio is the midstream business this year and next year is primarily focused on pipeline build. These are multi-billion-dollar projects, privately funded. Our sales of service and goods to those is significant, roughly 10%, if not more, of our total sales.
Contrast with 10 years ago, what percent might that have
Less than 1/2%.
Incredible.
So an amazing buildup. It's happened in an area that coal used to be the economic driver, and as that's fallen off, the oil and gas has come up. So it's very beneficial for those areas. To the original question, then the downstream, we certainly see some of that opportunity, and we think that opportunity long term will be every bit as significant, if not more so, than the midstream has been. We look at the building of power plants in Ohio, which are multi-billion-dollar projects, and I think there's 7 or 8 that are scheduled to be built or in production now. Certainly more to come. Hopefully what also gets developed are things like an ethane cracker plant. When you look at economic forecast, that development cost for the plant itself and for support structure around it exceeding $10 billion. Mm-hmm. The infrastructure in existing cities and counties around it, which is dated 60, 70, 80 years old and was never designed to have the capacity to handle what's coming should that cracker be built. You know, we're looking at a spend in a very small area that's 5-6 times a complete ODOT budget in a year.
Right.
So for us, and that brings the jobs where we certainly see Ohio people employed in the buildup of the midstream. They are out on pipeline jobs or out on these processing plants. When we look at the business opportunity as it moves into the downstream sector, we're seeing many of the traditional Ohio companies and Ohio Cat business partners they're going to be getting that work to build the infrastructure, to supply the services and do that work. So yes, we're certainly looking at that as an economic engine for us for a decade.
So I was at a shale event in West Virginia last night, and I sensed some concern about, with all the pipelines coming on, are there enough gas molecules for enough years or even decades to support the pipelines and moving the molecules to the Gulf Coast and elsewhere, and also this petrochemical industry, which is what they appear to be really hoping for because of the literally thousands of jobs that could come with rebuilding that industry. So any comment on, is there enough NGLs and natural gas to do both?
From what I've seen so far from not only the conferences I've been to, but speaking with professionals in the industry, and when I chart what production capabilities are in the area, and I look at if every one of the 5 LNG facilities is built by 2021 and is operating at full capacity, their draw would be roughly 10 to 12% of total natural gas production in the United States at current levels, not taking into effect the growth that's going to occur. So while it's beneficial that you've got another customer and it helps drive that economic engine, from what I'm hearing and what I can figure out myself, I don't see any reason to be concerned. And certainly the people looking at those ethane plants, when I've listened to them speak and spoken with them in private, they have no concerns about the ability of the area to produce everything that they need and still supply the homes with natural gas for heating, the gas-fired power plants. The resource in ground is phenomenal.
Okay, so great to hear. So last question, if we assume that this phenomena started in, let's say in 2010, so it's 6 years old, use a baseball analogy, what inning do you think that we're in right now as far as the whole shale play?
I'd say we're probably in the second inning.
Second inning.
Yep,
So a lot of excitement still to come.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, great to hear. Well, thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you very much.
And thank you for joining the MH Energy Exchange.